I think it's great that so many college athletes are involved in NIL. I wish even more would examine it and determine if they want to pursue it. Many of them will not be successful. It doesn't matter, right?
I mean, I don't want to get into the negatives too much. Because it's all about being positive. But I mean, I think that, you know, it's going to be very similar to, just in society in general. I mean, I think that in the business world, for instance, you see so many people out there right now saying how to make $1 million tomorrow, even now, how to make $1 billion tomorrow. And you see all these influential people making it. But I think that a lot of people don't understand that that's the 1% when it comes to business, even, professional athletes, it's very similar with their endorsement deals. There's very few that actually, and those are the ones you hear about, and so I think that it does somewhat start pushing younger students, even college students and high school students, to somewhat be fearful and not judge, but what's the terminology I'm trying to think of? Just really not feel like they're doing good enough because they hear about that 1%. And I think that that's something that will really need to somewhat be touched upon as NIL continues to move forward, because as you said, it's 1% will do that, and good for them. They worked hard to probably get there. People don't see how hard it is, to get there. But there are going to still be ways that these student athletes can learn and grow, and I think that's really what it all comes down with. It is the journey, is it's a stepping stone and a journey evolution of themselves as they continue to evolve.
You're reminding me, Zach, of and it wasn't related to NIL, and it wasn't even related to college sports, but you reminded me of an important lesson that as an adult I was reminded of about 10 years ago. My where I went to college, I went to Gettysburg College in Pennsylvania, and they started a leadership, an entrepreneurship sort of institute program that students from campus could join in and be taught lessons on entrepreneurship, which all led to the opportunity to submit a proposal to start a business and be awarded, anywhere from $5,000 to I think $20,000 to actually get their business started. And I was, because I had started at that point a few businesses, and I was asked to be on this, panel of alums that would choose the businesses that would be awarded money and so forth, and then act as a mentor. And I remember there was one proposal that a lot of the other people on the panel, the other alumni, were very excited about. And it had to do with selling college textbooks. And at the time, I was doing a lot of work for Amazon, and Amazon has its own college business, textbook business. And I saw this proposal as essentially like, this is not a good business idea. Like, this person has not vetted what else is out there. And frankly, this business idea, were it to go out into the real world, would be crushed within a couple of months, right? And so I began to be sort of negative in this private setting in talking about this proposal with this group of alumni. And at the end of it, as we were sort of getting up and we were talking about all the proposals, and as I get up and I'm walking out the door, this sort of older entrepreneur walks over to me and very, very kindly says, "You're missing the point." He says, "Of course it's not a great idea. Of course this person's going to fail. But there's enough here for us to reward him with the opportunity to go out and try to figure some things out and ultimately fail, and probably do that a few times, because by his third business, he's probably going to be really good at this and come up with something great, right? And I think, you know, that was a great reminder of, you know, that it really wasn't about trying to find, you know, a 21-year-old who had developed the next idea to compete with Tesla, right? It was more about building a foundation of what an entrepreneur would really need to know to be successful someday, probably long after we ever had met them. And so I feel a lot of ways about that's similar with NIL. I think it's great that so many college athletes are involved in NIL. I wish even more would examine it and determine if they want to pursue it. Many of them will not be successful. It doesn't matter, right? Because the lessons along the way around mainly entrepreneurship, but some other things, are a reward in the effort. And by the way, many will be successful, but I think it's all about the effort, which is absolutely worthwhile.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. That was to the heart a little bit, because I see that you're 100% right. And I think no matter what, as not even student athletes, but I think as all as humans, no one wants to fail, but you do have to look back multiple times in your life. I mean, even multi-million dollar business owners, $50 million a year business owners, like I've seen a few that still go through a lot of the same troubles, that we go through, just from a much more larger perspective. And, it all comes down to being able to understand and know that, the failures you're going to have to fail to succeed. I mean, the failures are what help you succeed in life.
Absolutely. And the great news about NIL is that most of the time, the failures are not, great failures, right?
Mm-hmm.
They're in the context of that same person, still earning their degree, playing a sport that they love, and this is really just an add-on to an already great experience that they're having.
Yeah. What do you? I'll finish it off with the last question, because this is something that I was you kind of talked about at the beginning, and we kind of dabbled on it a little bit with the personal branding side. One thing that we really try to work with athletes is, especially with, you said you work with you work with a lot of collections and a lot of brands as well, especially local businesses, and kind of understanding how NIL works. And I know we talked about endorsements, sponsorships, and that's about what 95% of them think about. But where I'm going out with this is we kind of talked a little bit about voice and tone, and what they want to do. So I love to hear your thoughts on how the athletes can find their genuine path, and, honestly, just know that they can say no to brands that don't fit who they are as a person. And I think that's something that a lot of, I think, college and now coming high school athletes will have to worry about, because in a sense, they are kind of clients at that point. And so you do step into the spectrum of possibly working with some people that could take advantage, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, again, for the, going back to something we talked about before about maybe simplifying the process, and that being, an avenue for success. I'll use a sort of a concrete example, which is, I'll ask a student athlete, what do you want to be aligned with? What do you care about? And before you answer that, let me put it into real terms. What would you not get sick of posting about on social media 3 times this week? Now, 3 times a week, every month for the next 2 years? What are you not going to get sick of because you care about it, you're passionate about it, you think it's interesting and dynamic and changing for whatever reason? What's the thing that you're not going to get sick of posting about? And somebody will say to me, and I had this, like I can't tell you who, but a starting point guard in the Big East women's basketball, and she said, mental health. It's not, not an unusual answer these days. I really care about mental health. I'm like, okay, well, first of all, I applaud you that is really a passion of yours, that you have an interest in that. And so let me frame it to you this way about brand partnerships and monetizing maybe social media or other parts of NIL. If this is going to be the primary, maybe not exclusively, but if mental health is primarily what you're going to stand for, it's going to be what you post on social media, whether you're being paid by a brand or not. It's going to be what you talk about when you have the opportunity to speak in public as your passion and so forth. If that is the case, within a year, if you stick to this as your primary message, you will attract the brands and people and organizations to you, and they are likely to be great brand partners because they're going to have had a year's worth of listening to you and where you stand. And it doesn't have to be more complicated than that for a student athlete. And frankly, I don't think it can be more complicated than that because of the barriers and challenges we've talked about previously around time and other commitments. I think it can be that simple.
I 100% agree with you. It's funny because I feel like when we talk to a lot of our athletes, the same things come up, the same kind of challenges come up, and I kind of tell them the same thing. It's hey, really, your personal brand can really just be about what you're passionate about. Mix your passions together, and if you know that you can consistently post about that on a normal basis, those brands will be attracted to you because they will have the same audience as you. So they will find you and they will want to work with you. And in turn, from a higher level, really they are businesses. Their main goal is to, get sales or to grow what they're doing. And so they want to bring on people that have the same brand message as them, really what it comes down to. And that was beautiful. That was beautiful. Well, I think you and I could talk about this all day. I do really appreciate you being on. I thought this was a great conversation. I think that this is definitely something very needed. Kudos on the class. Kudos on everything that you're doing with Sports Journal. I'll continue to keep reading your articles as I provide more content on the subject. And why don't you tell everyone where they could possibly find you? And if they want to reach out to you, what would be that best method?
Yeah. So everything I do is on one website, which is student-athlete-insights.com. No hyphens in there, just the word student-athlete-insights.com. And there you'll be able to read about what I do from a consulting standpoint, what I do in terms of education and workshops and all things NIL. There's also a blog on the site called NIL Insider. And I probably have the last 20 to 25 blog posts that tend to include monthly survey research. So that you might find interesting. And you can reach out to me through the website or through email, which is bill@student-athlete-insights.com.
Oh, beautiful. And don't worry, I'll also put those down in the comment section so everyone can click down and view it. Well, again, I want to thank you for being on another episode of the Brand Power Analysis. And this won't be the last time we talk. We'll keep in contact. And again, I appreciate you being on.
Yeah, Zach, thanks for having me, and good luck to everybody.
Thank you.